against anything. I can hopefully do my job with both hands free. Now we shear sheep for two main reasons. The primary, most important reason is a welfare reason. Domestic sheep do not shed their wool. There are a few breeds of sheep called hair sheep and wild sheep that still shed. Thousands of years ago, humans selected for sheep that were not shedding so we could get the wool to make clothing and blankets and so on. And now, thousands of years later, we need to shear our sheep. In our code of ethics, which is the rule book of being a sheep farmer in Canada, one line says you must shear your sheep at least once every 12 months. Most sheep are sheared in the springtime, so they're cool for the summer and then grow new fleece back for the winter. This is a ewe lamb on my farm. The lambs live inside the barn in winter, and the barns are not very cold. They're only about maybe -1, -2 on the coldest day. So we don't want a heavy fleece on them, which would make them feel uncomfortable. So we do our shearing for our lambs in the fall. Our mature ewes get short in the springtime. So the second reason, of course, that we shear sheep is for the wool. That is a secondary reason. I'm going to talk a bit more about that as we get going. I'm going to shear her belly wool first. It's the least valuable part of the fleece. It gets more bedding, it gets more matting in it. You put it aside, it usually gets composted. I'm going to come up one side and down the other side. While I'm moving her around, I'm going to stretch her legs, stretch her body, try and keep her skin tight, hopefully prevent any cuts. I'll get started so she doesn't sit here for too long. This is a ewe lamb. So a ewe is a female sheep. A lamb is anything less than 1 year old. She's about 8 months old. And I hope she'll have her first lambs when she's 1 year old herself. And she'll probably have a single or maybe twins her first time. Following years, she might have twins or triplets. This is what we call a commercial crossbred ewe. Her father was a Dorper, which is a hair breed of sheep that gave her the black wool. Her mother was a Rideau Arcot. That's a Canadian breed, known for having lots of lambs and producing lots of milk to feed those lambs. As I said, the wool is the secondary reason for shearing our sheep. On most farms in Canada, we're not raising them primarily for wool production simply because we don't make much money at it. If I pay someone to come and shear sheep at my farm, I'm going to be paying at least $5 per sheep, often more than that. I will then pack the wool up into a bag and send it off to a company called the Wool Growers. They'll sort it by how long the fibers are, how thick they are, and in this circumstance, what color they are. And then they'll pay me based on those qualities. A thinner fiber is worth more because it's a softer wool. Black fiber is worth less because you can't dye it. So you have to know you're going to need black fibers, you're going to buy black fibers. So the black fibers are least valuable type of fiber to produce. I eventually get a check back for my wool. And in the last 5 to 10 years, I've been getting between 15 and 20 cents a pound. Really good stuff might be up to 40 cents a pound. An adult fleece is about 8 pounds, so if you do the math, we are not making money on our wool. The wool is what we call a byproduct. The sheep do have to be shorn, and the wool is getting used. It's not bringing me an income. Much of our wool is heading to China these days. It's probably about 15, maybe 20% is processed here in Canada. The rest is sent overseas. If you go to the dollar store, sometimes you find wool blend soft or scarves. It could be Canadian wool for all we know. So our main reason for raising sheep in Canada is obviously not the wool. It is lamb for meat. And we have a huge demand for lamb here in Canada, and we cannot supply enough. We only supply between 30 and 40% of the lamb eaten in Canada most years. And that is a problem because then you go to the grocery store and you'll find lamb from New Zealand, you'll find lamb from Australia or the UK. We're not upset about them supplying extra lamb because we just don't have enough sheep or sheep farmers in Canada to feed everyone who wants to eat lamb. So that's a good business to be in. When there's a shortage, the price is usually decent. Some farmers also milk their sheep. Sheep milk, quite similar to goat's milk, high in protein, low in lactose, really good for making cheese. There's about 60 farms in Ontario that are milking their sheep every day, just like you milk a cow or a goat. As I said, most of it is turned to cheese. So you could do anything with it you do with any other kind of milk. You could make ice cream, you could make yogurt. But again, we have a shortage of supply. therefore mostly cheese. And you can't tell with this sheep because of her black wool, but her wool is actually cleaner and drier inside next to the skin than it was on the outside. That's because she has a wrinkle in her wool. She has an oil in her skin called lanolin. Allows her to shake off extra water and stay fairly dry. One of the neat qualities about wool is it can hold about up to 10 times its weight in water before it's saturated, which is great when we're using it for drying up oil spills. We're wearing a wool sweater in a rainstorm, but not so good for sheep all day. So they have an oil that lets them shake off the extra water. When we wash the wool, the oil, the lanolin floats. Obviously we can use it for harvesting it to make hand creams, moisturizers, things like that. So a great product for the sheep, wonderful product for us, a completely renewable resource. We get more every year with our wool. Now she's going to grow about 1 centimeter of wool per month, so she'll have plenty of fleece on for this coming winter. And as I said at the start, she's going to be sheared again as an adult in the spring, and then every spring after that. That's the end of my presentation. I'm just going to put her back so she can be back with her friends, but you're welcome to come up and feel the wool, and I'm going to be here to answer questions if you want to answer any questions. Thanks for coming to the world today. Thank you.